Welcome back, dear students. So after climatic and adaptive factor, now in this lecture we are going to study the biological factors. So biological factors, it includes various weeds that competes with the crop plant for mineral nutrition, then the insects, soil microorganisms such as blue-green algae, nitrogen fixing bacteria, denitrifying bacteria, decomposing bacteria, mycorrhiza, and soil animals, that is the soil fauna. So these are the biological factors. So one by one we will discuss these biological factors that affect on the plant growth. So weeds that competes with the crop plants and exhaust soil nutrients, so they negatively affect on the growth of the crop. So as you know that the weeds which grows along with the crop plant, weeds are the unwanted plants. They compete with the crop plant and exhaust soil nutrients, so they negatively affect on the growth of the crop plants. Similarly, many insects that cause damage to the crop plants as they destroy the growing apices and plant parts and spread many diseases. So insects are the carriers of many pathogens that can cause the plant diseases. So these insects damages the crop plants, they destroy the growing apices and the plant parts and also spread many diseases. Microorganisms growing in the soil increases the soil fertility by adding nitrogen, by providing soluble phosphorus, and by adding humus. So microorganisms are found to be beneficial for the plant's growth. It increases the soil fertility by adding nitrogen, by providing soluble phosphorus, by adding humus. Humus increases water holding capacity of the soil and make the soil loose and porous. The microorganisms such as symbiotic bacteria, for example rhizobium, mycorrhizae, that provides nitrates and phosphates to the plants. So there are certain fungal species, mycofungal species, that grows in the periphery of the root zone and it forms a thread-like structures in the soil, and these thread-like structure referred as mycelium, it function like the roots of the plant. So it provides various mineral nutrients, for example phosphate that has been present in the soil to the crop plant like the roots. So mycorrhizae, it provides phosphate to the plant. So plant shows vigorous growth. Next is the animals. So that is the soil fauna. Animals like earthworms, crabs makes the soil porous. So which increases the aeration and water holding capacity of the soil, due to which roots grow vigorously. So beneficial animals like earthworms and crabs make the soil porous, which increases the aeration and water holding capacity of the soil. So due to this, the plant roots grows vigorously in the soil. So these are the biological factors. So up to this stage we finish the external factors, that is the climatic factors, edaphic factors and biological factors. Now the internal factors. So growth and development of the plant is controlled by various internal factors, and they can be categorized as genetic factors, nutritional factors and hormonal factors. These factors are directly or indirectly controlled by the genetic constitution of the plant. So the first one is the genetic factors. So as you know that every plant has a specific genetic constitution which determines the physical setup of the plant. So if we remember that when Mendel made a cross between tall and dwarf plant, so this tallness, dwarfness, it has been determined by the genetic makeup or the constitution of the plant. So this specific genetic constitution which determines the physical setup of the plant. So the dwarf variety remains dwarf, tall variety becomes tall. It also determines the branching and growth pattern, the season and period of vegetative and reproductive growth. So the genetic constitution of the plant that determines the physical setup means the branching and growth pattern. Similarly, the season and period of vegetative and reproductive growth. So these genetic factors are responsible for growth pattern of that plant. Next is the nutritional factors. So as you know that the plants are autotrophic, and by a process of photosynthesis, plant synthesizes various organic compounds. When a particular level of nutrition is achieved by the plant, it shows growth. When the rate of synthesis is more than the rate of breakdown and sufficient amount of food material has been accumulated, so under such condition plant shows growth. When the rate of respiration is more than the rate of photosynthesis, there is utilization of organic compounds, so growth is not possible. So respiration, it is concerned with the breakdown of the complex organic compounds for the release of energy, while the photosynthesis is the synthesis of the food material by utilizing light, water and CO2, where the food material has been synthesized. Now these two processes, if we compare, when the rate of respiration is more than the rate of photosynthesis, there is utilization of organic compounds, so growth is not possible. When sufficient amount of food materials are accumulated, means the rate of photosynthesis is more than rate of respiration, then growth occurs. Other factors such as pigment contents, enzyme activity, capacity to store food reserves also affect on the growth of the plant. So one by one we will discuss these other factors. So the first one we see here, the photosynthetic rate. The photosynthetic rate means the rate of CO2 assimilation in plant. So during the process of photosynthesis, the CO2 is assimilated and fixed in the form of complex organic food material. So this rate of CO2 assimilation in plant is known as photosynthetic rate, and it depends on light quality, light quantity and light interception. Light interception depends on leaf size, leaf area and total leaf canopy. Leaf canopy, so that is the shadow that has been falls on the leaf, the shadow of leaf that has been falls on the lower leaves, that is referred as leaf canopy. So light interception, the amount of light that falls on the plant and of which how much amount of light has been utilized by the plant for the process of photosynthesis, that is the light interception. So this light interception depends on leaf size, leaf area and total leaf canopy. CO2 assimilation also depends on stomatal type and density. Other factors like CO2 concentration, temperature, leaf pigments, activity of photosynthetic enzymes also control the photosynthetic rate. The photosynthetic rate of C3 plants is less than the photosynthetic rate of C4 plants. So if you see the C3 cycle of these plants, that is the Calvin cycle, the first stable product is a 3-carbon compound, while in case of C4 plant the first stable compound is a 4-carbon compound. So the number, if we count the number of carbon that has been fixed in the C3 and C4 plant, so the photosynthetic rate of C4 plant is more than the C3 plant, because one additional carbon has been fixed in the C4 plants as compared to the C3 plant if we see the photosynthetic rate of this plant. So the photosynthetic rate of C3 plants is less than the photosynthetic rate of C4 plants. The rate of photorespiration is also very important, as it governs the accumulation of carbohydrates during photosynthesis. Thus, photosynthetic rate is responsible for the accumulation of food, which then affects the growth of the plant. So this photosynthetic rate means the rate of CO2 assimilation in plant. It depends on light quality, light quantity and light interception. Here we are discussing the process of photosynthesis. So for photosynthesis CO2 is required. Similarly, Temperature, the optimum temperature is also important. Leaf pigments, that is the chlorophyll pigment, activity of photosynthetic enzymes. So these factors also controls the photosynthetic rate. If you compare the C3 and C4 plants, the photosynthetic rate of C3 plant is less than the photosynthetic rate of C4 plants. Similarly, rate of photorespiration is also very important, as it controls the accumulation of carbohydrates during photosynthesis. So, the photosynthetic rate is responsible for accumulation of food, which then affects the growth of the plant. Next is the pigment content. So various pigments, that is the chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotene, xanthophylls. So these are present in the plant. So as mentioned above, there of chlorophyll A photosynthesis mainly depends on pigment contents like chlorophyll B, carotenes and xanthophylls. So along with chlorophyll A, the chlorophyll B, carotenes and xanthophylls, they are involved in the process of photosynthesis. Chlorophylls are the master molecules in photosynthesis. Hence the contents of chlorophyll indirectly affect on the growth. Those plants which contain more chlorophyll molecules, they can perform the growth at increased rate. So it indirectly affect on the growth. When the leaves become senescent, means yellow, there is tremendous loss or degradation of chlorophyll contents. Such plants do not show any growth, even when other factors are favorable. So chlorophyll pigments are, more precisely, the chlorophyll A is the master molecule in the process of photosynthesis, while chlorophyll B, carotenes, xanthophylls, these are the accessory pigments. They absorb light and provide to the chlorophyll A. They cannot able to convert it into chemical energy. The light energy, they cannot convert it into chemical energy. So they transfer this absorbed light to the chlorophyll pigment. When the leaves become senescent, means yellow, there is tremendous loss of chlorophyll pigment. So because of which the color of the leaves become yellow. If the leaves contain chlorophyll, the color is green. When the leaves become yellow, so such yellowing of the leaves occur due to the degradation of chlorophyll pigments. Such plants do not show any growth even when other factors are favorable. Chlorophyll AB ratio is a crucial factor for efficient photosynthesis and capacity of the plant to harvest light. These pigments form photosystem first and photosystem second. That is PS1 and PS2. Photosystem first, photosystem second, which are very important in photosynthesis. So this is about the pigment contents. Next is the enzyme activity. All the metabolic activities are governed by the enzymes, and hence any physiological process will be affected by the enzyme activity. Their stimulation or inhibition will stimulate or inhibit the processes like growth. So enzymes that are involved in the process of photosynthesis, respiration and other physiological processes that affect on the growth, because the metabolic activities are governed by the enzyme, and the stimulation or the inhibition of the enzyme will stimulate or inhibit the processes like growth. The last one is the hormonal factors. So like the genetic factors and nutritional factor, the hormonal balance in the plants affect their growth. The normal synthesis and accumulation of phytohormones like auxins, cytokinins, gibberellins control the plant growth. Hyperoxinity means excess auxins and excessive synthesis of gibberellins cause abnormal growth, leading to excessive increase in the plant height, size of leaves, flowers and fruits. Plant growth is governed by hormones, their concentration and biosynthesis. Natural hormones like auxins, cytokinin, gibberellins, abscisic acid, ethylene are important in the plant growth. Phytohormones, V1 applied externally, they contribute to the growth of the plant. So this balanced combination of various hormones should be required for the normal growth and development of the plant. So the hormonal balance in the plant affect the growth of the plant. If the concentration of the auxin or excessive synthesis of the gibberellin occur in the plant, it can cause abnormal growth that leads to excessive increase in the plant height, size of the leaves, flowers and fruits. So plant growth, it is governed by the hormones, their concentration and biosynthesis also. So naturally produced hormones like auxin, gibberellins, cytokinin, abscisic acid, ethylins are important in plant growth. So this is all about the internal factors. So the next point is the plant growth regulator. So this is the half part of this chapter, plant growth regulator. So this point we will see in the next lecture. Thank you.